Hello and welcome to this episode of the Weak Forms series where we're going to look at the word for or for in English. So to start with, we'll think about the strong form. So when we're saying this in its strong form, we say for. Now I am from England and I think I have a fairly standard accent, and for that reason this word doesn't have a strong R sound at the end for me when I speak. As you'll see in the script here, there's a tiny R on the right hand side. So in my accent and in the accent of many of the people you'll find in England, but not everybody, definitely, you're going to hear for that ends in that vowel or. The R is a linking R that would become activated if the next word begins with a vowel. For example, this book is for Anne. Yeah, Anne begins with a vowel, so for Anne, ran, this teeny tiny R just kind of pops itself in before the name Anne. So this is a feature of connected speech which we'll look at in a different series, hopefully in the future, but just bear that in mind for now, that the R is there, but it doesn't activate unless there's a vowel afterwards. So our strong form is for. If you were speaking to someone from certain parts of the United States, or maybe someone from Scotland, you're going to hear a stronger R at the end of this word and many other words, which is a feature of particular accents of English. So what I'm dealing with here is the form taken from the Cambridge Online Dictionary, which is a standard, but there are so many accents out there, so hold that in mind as well. So thinking about the weak form then, we've got this vowel, It's very relaxed. The tongue is in the bottom of the mouth. No stretching, no curling the tongue. Keep it nice and flat and relaxed. And that allows us to create the word for. For. Again, when I say it like that, the R is not activated. For. So taking my previous example where I said the book is for Anne, I might say it's for Anne. It's for Anne. So ran because of Anne. Yeah, the R activates. So if that feels a bit confusing or a bit much for now, don't worry. At some point in the future, I'm going to make a video about this linking R and about connected speech. So we'll get onto that in the future. For now, there we go, a nice natural example. Just remember that the weak form of for is for, and it pops out all the time. So a couple of examples then. What's for breakfast? Is that gift for Helen? So two very ordinary sentences, both happen to be questions, and in each case my for would sound a bit much. For breakfast, for Helen. It's easy, it's relaxed, and it sounds super natural. So, a note about emphasis and formality. If you want to have some emphasis in a sentence, and we'll look at an example in a moment, then you can opt for the strong form of this word. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, sometimes when people are trying to sound very formal, they will turn some of what would be weak forms into strong forms. I think this is something of a skill, and making decisions about when to go strong with this word it's a bit tricky, really. I've sometimes heard students of English who have refused to use any weak forms because they felt that it was somehow lazy or wrong, because I think historically there might have been some misunderstandings of these weak forms, and I have heard people in the past who've tried to avoid them, and it can make your speech sound very stilted and it can actually interrupt the music of the language, because these weak forms allow us to have that up and down of stresses across a sentence. So it really is worth getting them in there, but it's good to remember we can use the strong form for particular tasks. So let's have a look at an example. I said the letter is for Tom, not from him. So if I just said to you, oh, the letter's for Tom, with the weak form, for Tom, it's just part of the grammar of the sentence. There's nothing special about that word. But here there's a potential miscommunication. Maybe we're in an office and my colleague thinks that we've received a letter. Tom has written a letter to us, and I'm trying to clarify the misunderstanding. I said the letter is for Tom, not from him. So in that case, I would emphasize using the strong form to try and clear up the miscommunication. So this is just one example of how we can use strong forms to give emphasis to these little grammatical words, these little glue words that normally are weak because they're not so important. Generally speaking, in the pattern, the music of an English sentence, the kind of words we tend to emphasize are the important verbs and the important nouns. Again, I'm going to make some videos on this topic later when I get a chance, so don't worry about that too much for now, but just bear that in mind, that when you're speaking in English, it tends to be significant nouns and significant verbs that get the stronger emphasis, and that's why when you listen to somebody speaking English in a natural way, it kind of goes up and down a little bit. It might sound a little bit musical to you. And often students say to me that they're not sure how they can replicate that, how they can sound up and down like a native speaker. And so one of the things you can do as a student is really pay attention to these strong and weak forms that we cover in these videos, and practice with the weak forms. Try to get them into your own speech, and what that will allow is the words that do need to be stronger will sound stronger because you're creating weakness in your sentences using these weak forms. So if you found that useful, hit like, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on upcoming videos. I've got big plans for connected speech work in the future, and I just bought a new microphone, so hopefully the sound quality will be super good. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.